Hi guys, let's prepare this delicious Ogbono Okro soup with just few ingredients you can find anywhere around you. And yeah, I've been under the weather and I've been off for 2 weeks. Thanks to everyone that really checked on me. But I'm back now, although my voice is not so perfect. But I hope you're able to understand and listen carefully as usual. This delicious Ogbono okra soup was prepared with just few ingredients, and I love the fact that this particular dish is not just healthy but also affordable. This is one of the most affordable soups you can actually prepare, and it's really lovely. I prepared this and everyone loved it from the scratch. I started with the ogbono. I prepped it and cleaned it thoroughly. As you can see, the shaft and the back of the ogbono was much, so I had to clean it well. After cleaning my ogbono to be really neat, I then blended it with my blender. I crushed it so hard to the extent I want it to look like powder, because I don't want to be seeing some lumps or ogbono particles in my soup. As you can see, it's so smooth and really it's blended so well. The next is my crayfish. I'm using fresh crayfish, of course, as you can see on the screen, and I will also be blending this to powder. And yeah, you can buy already grounded ogbono or crayfish powder, but I love preparing mine from the scratch because I don't like stones and other dirty particles. And next, I'm using okra. Okra is very important for this delicacy because, of course, you heard me right. I said Ogbono okra soup. I use the knife to cut it and shred it. I actually love seeing my okra in my soup and eating it and enjoying it inside the soup as usual. But you can also use this grater to, shred your okra, to be a little bit smaller. But I love this method. And I'm also using spinat. And this spinat is just similar to ugu leaf. There is no ugu leaf here in Germany, so I'm using spinat. I shredded it to the way I want it to look. And yeah, this spinat doesn't have any taste and it's also healthy. So it's just perfect, for this soup. And I'm using palm oil. This is palm oil I bought in African market, and it's just exactly as Nigerian palm oil, and it's also not so expensive. And this is fresh pepper. This hot pepper is really more spicy than all the pepper I've actually used in Nigeria, to be honest. These peppers, I don't even know where they buy them from because it's so hot. And I'm using just one of each. That is one red and one yellow pepper. This Scotch bonnet pepper is so spicy that you can't even use too much. If it's in Nigeria, you can use many as you want. But this one is so hot. You can't use more than two really because it's really so hot. So I blended it and this is how it looks like. And I'll be using this for my Ogbono okra soup. This is really so nice because mixing these two different pepper, they have two different tastes actually. So it's going to give one of the lovely taste to your soup. And I'm using this fresh fish. It is fresh Titus fish. You can use any other type of fish you want, but this one I love the most. And the taste in ogbono soup is just different. So I'm using these two large ones. You can add more if you want or if you have. And I cut it to the size I wanted it to be. Look at it. It's not so big. It's not so small. Just medium size. And I cleaned it thoroughly. I removed the dirty particles. As you can see, it's really neat. I washed it with clean water. And yeah, it's ready to be used. And next, I'm using cow skin. This is cow skin. I left it in my fridge. That's why it's blocked and clogged together. So I'm going to wash it really well with hot water. And after that, this is how it looks like. I scraped some parts of the skin and everything, washed it really well, and it's ready. And I'm also using stock fish. This stock fish, I bought it in African market. And I'm using just a little bit of it because it was so expensive and I can't use all of it for this ogbono soup. I'm sorry. So I just washed one and pieced it. As you can see, this is what it looks like. I just want the taste and the aroma and everything in my soup. So this is enough. And this is all the ingredients I'll be using for this delicious recipe. Next is to get started. Of course, I'm adding this cow skin into the pot because this is the hardest meat here. It's very hard, really. And it needs to cook well. And I'm adding fish next. This is the clean fish I washed and cut, as you can see. After this, I'm adding the stock fish and adding seasoning cube. I'm adding just one seasoning cube because this is soup. I don't need to add too much Maggi or whatever. So this Maggi I'm adding is just to cook this protein. And this is knorr cube, just one knorr cube, which knorr cube is like too small of the Maggi size, so it's just okay. This quantity is okay. I added salt. This salt is not as salty as the Nigerian salt, so that's why I added that quantity you saw. It's not even so salty. And I added everything together, mixed it really well, as you can see. I added water and covered it and allowed it to cook till the fish is soft, because I'll be removing the fish as soon as it's cooked. After 7 minutes, I remove the fish from this pot. As you can see, this fish is cooked, and I allow the cow skin and the stockfish to cook, and they were all soft as well. I used my fork to pierce through this cow skin or the kpomo, and I saw that it was soft, so soft, and it's ready. At this stage, of course, it's time to continue my cooking process. So I placed this pan on fire. I just wanted to heat up oil. I added the oil, and as soon as the oil was hot, I turned off the heat or the gas. And next is to add my ogbono, because this is my powdered ogbono. I told you guys earlier. I added it and mixed it really well. Don't forget, I turned off the heat, so I'm just mixing this ogbono with hot oil. So don't just leave your fire on and be burning your ogbono. Just make sure you mix it really well with hot oil if you're trying this particular recipe or this method I'm using. After that, I set it aside and place back my pot on fire. And next is to remove my proteins or the stockfish and the cow skin. I already cooked, as you can see. I need this stock, which is this juice from this proteins I cooked. So of course, this is the stock I'm using to cook. So I had to just bring out this stock fish and the cow skin from it, so I can use that juice to prepare my soup. And yeah, this particular recipe I'm even posting, guys, is one of the best. I've tried so many recipes before. If you've watched my previous video, you realize I've posted different methods and different types of cooking this ogbono, but this particular one is so easy and the taste is just different. It's not the same. It's not the regular ogbono okra soup. So at this stage, as you can see, I added this ogbono I mixed with hot oil. I added it to my stock. I mixed it really well. And if you're looking at this ogbono, you can see the quantity of ogbono I use is not so much. It's just so little. But don't worry, you're going to see how this soup would be so large, because this ogbono was actually a very good one. This ogbono was really nice. When I was getting this ogbono in African market, I was wondering if this is actually going to be good. But yeah, this is one of the good ogbono I've actually bought here in Germany. It's hard for you to even see a very good one, but this one, yeah, I think it's one of the best ones. So I added water and rinsed in everything. I don't want anything to waste. Of course, the prices of things. It's not even so cheap. It's not so cheap. So I'm just trying to make sure nothing goes to waste. So I added water, mixed well, allowed it to cook and boil up and all that. And of course, next is to add my crayfish. Recall, I only added one seasoning cube, which is 1 Knorr cube, when I was cooking the proteins. So crayfish is one of my secrets when I'm preparing ogbono okra soup. If I want it to be really delicious, I just have to add generous amounts of crayfish, and your soup will be one of the most delicious soups you have ever made. So that is exactly what I'm trying to say. If you have more crayfish, go ahead to add your crayfish, and you see how your soup will be so delicious. If you have more crayfish, add more crayfish than adding more seasoning cube or all those, whatever. It's better you add crayfish and all of that. So I just added the crayfish, even though it's not so much, but it's just okay for this quantity of soup. And I mixed it really well. As you can see, my soup is already boiling up a bit. So at this point, I will also have to add water, because I want this soup to be, much, or to be enough. So I added more water and allowed it to boil up. As you can see, this soup is already drawing really much. Looking at it, you can see it's drawing, and yeah, this ogbono is a good one. So at this stage, I'm going to add my pepper. There is no soup without pepper. Oh, you need that, heat, that spicy taste and all of that. So I added this Scotch bonnet pepper, the yellow and the red one I blended earlier. I added it to my pot. And one thing I love about this pepper, guys, the taste is just natural. I prefer using these fresh peppers to cook my soup than using all those powdered pepper. Even if you want to use powdered pepper, make sure to add a little bit of powdered pepper and then add more fresh pepper, for that freshness. But as you can see, everything I'm using here is fresh, nothing like any powdered pepper. So I just added the fresh pepper I shredded, mixed it really well. This 2 pepper I added, as you can see, it's looking small, but it's not small. Oh my god, it was so spicy, because I don't know why This pepper here is so, spicy. I don't even know where they bring these peppers in Germany from because it's really hot. Well, next I added my cow skin. That is, it's actually called kpomo in Nigeria, but the English name is cow skin. And my stockfish, I added both of them. As you can see, they are soft, they are well cooked and really tender, and it's so easy to bite and enjoy. This is not like you are fighting a battle when you be eating this soup. You know that everything is so easy. So I just mixed everything really well. As you can see, my soup is already coming up well. I mixed it really, really well and allowed it to, heat up for a few minutes. And next, I'm adding salt, just a little pinch, because I tasted this soup and I realized I needed to add salt. So recall I added salt at the beginning when I was preparing my stock, which is the proteins I'm using. But now I tasted it, I realized I needed to add a little bit of salt, and that was what I just did. So you can actually taste yours to know if you need to add salt or not. Make sure not to over add salt because this is a Ogbono soup. If you add salt too much, to really be bad. I tasted it and it was so nice. At this point, oh my god, the taste was really giving. I added okra that I shredded earlier. I told you guys I used the knife to cut my okra, but you can also go ahead to use your blender or use your grater, anything at all. But this is one of my favorite methods, using knife, making this okra bold in my soup and, eating it, enjoying the soup and chewing it and coming across the okra in my mouth. It's just giving, oh my god, you can't understand until you try it. So I just mixed it really well and combined thoroughly. At this point, I had to add my fish. If you notice the intervals I'm adding everything, it's not so, long, because I don't want the veggies to overcook. I love my okra fresh in my soup. So I just added the fish at this point because I don't want to add it at the beginning, or I didn't want to add it at the beginning stage. Of course, I don't want it to break. And this fish is so soft and it easily breaks. That's why I added it at this point. So I added it now and mixed it carefully so it won't break. And I wanted it to combine really well with the soup and everything, to marinate together, marry each other, and add all the flavors to one another. At this stage, I'll be adding my vegetables. Like I said at the beginning, I'm using spinat. This spinat doesn't have taste and it's just a good one. If you don't have ugu leaf, you can use spinat. It's also healthy, one of the very good veggies you can use for your soup. You can also add uziza leaf if you have any, but of course I don't have, so I'm adding spinat. And I added generous quantity because I wanted this soup to really be thick, and also I enjoy my soup when it has a lot of veggies and I just want to eat healthy. So I mixed it carefully, and after a minute, this is how it looks like. As you can see, these veggies didn't overcook and they are also ready at the same time. And this is just how I love my soup, because I'll be leaving some in the fridge while I'll be eating most of them. And yeah, this soup was so fast. It didn't even take me up to 30 minutes to prepare this soup. And one thing I love most about this soup is the taste. Oh my god, it was so delicious. I actually forgot the part where I added ogiri. I have one ogiri I left in my fridge. I added it, and yeah, I didn't remember to record that part, but it's optional. But that ogiri I added also made the soup to taste really, oh my god, sweet and delicious. It was so tasty, and oh my god, so just giving everything it should give. I enjoyed this with Gary. And if you're watching this video on Facebook or Instagram, don't forget to follow, please. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys on my next post. Don't forget to stay safe and remain kind to one another. This soup was so delicious. And if you haven't tried this recipe, please try it and you will love it. Try it for your loved ones and they will love it as well. Bye bye.